Hey, True Believers, Englentine here, and I found an article and figured I would go over it. It's about Terminator Dark Fate, which I am a fan of. Without any remorse or irony. I actually like the film. And I just think a lot of people, and I don't want to use the term don't get it, but I think that they watched it wrong. And by this, I'm going to tell you, when I was a movie theater projectionist, I had to watch everything. And I learned how to watch movies on their own merit. And that's what I did here. And I think people came in and just had an expectation. And maybe the fact that I stopped having expectations about any Terminator film at all ever helped me out. But anyway, I'm here with Dalton.
Hello.
And Dalton is here to be the voice of contrarianism, I guess. Because as it's known, I'm
now let's be clear. You are the contrarian one in this case. Like 90%
you're right.
of the internet.
You're right. I like the film. I like the film. Therefore, I am the contrarian because I'm going against the grain on this one. Look, Terminator Dark Fate is not a perfect film. It's not a flawless film. Now look, Terminator Dark Fate is not a flawless film. One thing I think needs to be mentioned here is I don't think that Terminator Dark Fate is a flawless film. And the reason why I'm repeating that is because already somebody's jumped off the video just to go to, I can't believe you said it was good and my opinion is different than yours. And yeah, look, Terminator Dark Fate has its flaws, but a lot of the things that are being pointed out as Terminator's flaws aren't flaws. They're not all that they're not all that important. And one of the biggest things, and this is a spoiler-filled thing, but come on, it's been out for a while, is the death of John Connor. One of its biggest flaws is not the death of John Connor. One of the things I found this article and I figured to go over it and talk about it. Mostly, of course, I'm going to be filling in my opinions and knocking down Dalton's here. But what else is new, right?
it's what we do.
Right.
He calls me whenever he needs a springboard for contrarian opinions.
Right. So it's called Terminator Dark Fate. Anger over that character is missing the point. And one thing that I absolutely agree, of course, the article begins with, it's Alt and Linda Hamilton, and they're all there, blah, 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 yada, yada. But then it goes on to mention that a machine shows up, kills John Connor, and boom, the story's off. And everybody is like, oh my gosh, they killed John Connor. They ruined the franchise. No, they didn't freaking ruin the franchise. 3, Salvation, Genesis. The franchise has been screwed over for a long time now.
And this movie didn't help.
This movie did not ruin it. This movie, and here's the thing, and I've mentioned this. If they stopped, and they did, they stopped Skynet. So there's no reason for John Connor to be the leader of the resistance. There's no reason for Sarah Connor to be the mother of the leader of the resistance. There's no reason for Skynet to exist because somebody else would have created whatever it is that the machines do their rise or whatever you want to say.
Okay, but here's the thing, and this I will defend slightly. In a universe where the time travel meddling of the Terminators and that whole shenanigans is what stopped Skynet from existing, Sarah Connor and John Connor would still probably be the leader of some kind of resistance because they've already been primed for doing this shit in the previous Terminator movies.
Well,
like you can't tell me that someone wouldn't, when Legion or whatever you want to call it pops up, you can't tell me that Sarah Connor and John Connor wouldn't be the first ones there, ready to kick ass and take names and so forth. You can't.
Maybe not. It would depend on when. It would depend on what strike. or how. I mean, you know, so if you watch Genesis, the big creation is the freaking internet. We already have the internet. It's Siri. It's you know, it's all that kind of stuff. We've got this now. And if it's something like that, if it comes off as benign and then all of a sudden turns, then yeah, it might actually wipe them out. I will say this, and this is one thing. I do understand that they could have played a larger part, that John Connor could have played a larger part, but I want to move on here. Right here, they say it, and this is absolutely the truth. Since when has John really been the actual hero of the franchise? He is a MacGuffin, and that's all. He has always only been the MacGuffin. This has been Sarah's show all the way through, except for one movie, and then it was a fake Terminator show. Well, John Connor wasn't even the big hero in Salvation.
Okay, because Salvation was a piece of crap, let's be perfectly honest about that.
Yeah, so was Genesis, and in Genesis, he was a freaking Terminator.
Well, yeah, again, the Terminator franchise has been mishandled time and again.
Absolutely, this movie
my
did
main
not
contention
destroy.
is that Dark Fate didn't help. But I will defend the worth of John Connor just a little bit here. I agree with you that he's not the point of the franchise, but part of the reason why Sarah Connor is such a badass, and I hate reading biblical symbolism into things, is because she is Mother Mary. She is the thing that inspires John Connor to be that hero. So that's why she is such a badass, and why she is such a badass by proxy, is because she is the inspiration for him. So to say, because she's important, that makes him not important, I think misses the point of their relationship entirely.
Oh, I don't think I missed the point of their relationship. I just think that that getting mad and getting worried over the fact that John Connor had died when he's never been the point. What he has done in the future is not something to get mad at when you're just filling the role. Now, granted, also I could give this to the fact that they didn't give the little girl enough to do. They didn't give the whole point of the little girl. You want somebody that's going to be shaped by Sarah Connor. It has to be that little girl, because when we see her, there's nothing there. When we meet John Connor, even, the only thing that he's got going for him is he's a punk because he wasn't really raised by anybody. Sarah Connor wasn't an active mom in his life for at all, really. I mean, now that he's been killed, because the
whole world-ending thing is kind of a bummer on a parent.
Even if you go to Terminator 3, she had died before she could actually be an influence. If you take the age of him in number 2 to number 3, you've only got like what, 5-6 years, maybe 8 between them, and she had already passed on. How much badassery is she passing on when she's dying of cancer or whatever it was that she was dying of in there?
Well, again, I think the main point was to have her be an ideal for him to live up to, not necessarily for her to be a direct influence.
All righty. So yeah, that's one of the things. That's absolutely the biggest thing I hear the complaint. Oh, it ruined the second movie. No, it didn't. I'll tell you something. I've been watching Terminator 1 and 2, and that's it for pretty much ever. They come out with a movie that they came out with 3, and I went, well, it wasn't great. I can watch it, but it's not great. I never consider it a continuation.
Because they fail so horribly.
I can't consider Salvation a continuation, because John Connor's not the leader of the Resistance, as we're said that he's supposed to be. I definitely don't watch Genesis. That wasn't even meant to be a sequel. It was meant to be chapter 1 of its own new trilogy. And this one is supposed to be chapter 3, which I think it does a good job at. And it's also supposed to continue the series, which, of course, if it had made money, it would. But I have a feeling that we have just seen the death of the Terminator franchise.
It has been terminated.
Yeah. I really do. I don't think that we're going to see the Terminator franchise revive. Nobody's gonna. The sad thing is this movie, this movie franchise domestically has been dropping. Every movie you lose interest. And I think, of course, one of the huge reasons this didn't make money is Genesis. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times. Oh my gosh, I must be retarded. I'm not going to go see a 4th. And yeah, that's the way it is. Some of us retards actually did go see the 4th one.
Genesis.
Yeah,
that's a whole other video. Hey.
Yeah, so look, I understand. Like I said, I don't think that Terminator Genesis is a flawless film. I think there are definite problems with
Fate,
it.
You mean?
Not Genesis. Well, Genesis sucks. Yeah, Dark Fate's the one I'm talking about. There are things I really like. I was surprised because that poster made Mackenzie Davis look so unattractive and look so bad, and that it was such a cringe poster. You know, the one of the 3 of them.
Yeah, the
cyborg. Oh my gosh! And what was the extended neck work on her? And then you see her in action. She's actually one of the best things about the movie. I have not heard a lot of people say anything bad about the action or bad about Mackenzie doing her thing.
Specifically, the interesting thing I thought was the fact they tied her cyborg enhancements to her metabolism and made her have that hard limitation, because we've seen one unstoppable Terminator against another nigh unstoppable Terminator a dozen times by now, and it's boring.
They definitely need to get a new
Terminator boring. I'll never know, but you did.
The only way they could save this is if they went to the war. I think just stop sending Terminators back. It's ridiculous. Get to the war. John Connor. You could skip over this one again. Just start its own thing and just start with John Connor as the leader of Resistance, or start with this girl as the leader of the Resistance, although I think they would do better with John Connor. That's the only way they're going to save this. The biggest flaw in Terminator Dark Fate is Terminator 2. If this wasn't that, if there weren't 2 other movies before this, I think it would have done a lot better. Unfortunately, people have tied it to the second one far too harshly. I mean, you've been watching 1 and 2 by themselves so many times. You don't need any extra, and that's what this is. Standing alone, I think this is a pretty good film. As a matter of fact, I do, and I said this. Let me finish this, and I'll let you go. I did say this in the beginning. I said when I first saw it, I sent a tweet out and I said, Terminator finally has a part 3. Go on. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I don't think you can view this entirely in a vacuum, though, because the whole reason it exists is to serve the rest of the franchise, or ideally to serve the rest of the franchise.
I didn't suggest you view this in a vacuum. I suggested 1 and 2 in a vacuum. This movie doesn't work on its own. Like, it can't. You have to understand, or at least have some working knowledge of 1 and 2 for 3 to work. But this did not ruin 1 and 2. This is just another film.
Undo the terrible that was the 3 previous ones that ruined it.
Yeah, you don't need those 3.
I think it's perfectly legitimate to say, again, it's the fool me once, shame on me, or you fool me 3 or 4 or 5 times, shame on me. After 3 really, really subpar movies, you can't come in here with a barely adequate movie and expect to heap the praise, because it's too loaded with action.
Watch Terminator 2 again, guys. If you think this is too loaded with action, oh my gosh, no.
No, but Terminator 2 made it work, and made it work with the story. This one didn't. It was just action scene to action scene to action scene.
This one did too. This is beat for beat Terminator 2. If you watch, they have the chase scene at the same time. They have the quiet scene at the same time.
With no soul.
Except for it is there. Yes, it is.
It just goes to show how bad Terminator 2 could have been if they had just done it as writ, rather than introducing all the good bits.
This was good, and Sarah Connor was good in this. Mackenzie was good in this. the whole idea, some people got mad at the idea that a Terminator, after it got away, began to learn how to be human. Its mission was over. It wasn't supposed to go on a killing spree, because then that would have just raised awareness of Skynet, or Legion as it became, a lot sooner, and it could be stopped. So it had to hide. It had to go into hiding. It had to go into the woods.
It's also
and
the
it learned how to be
first
human.
time it could have made its own choices beyond its programming, because before then it was a one-track machine sent for doing its programming, and now, well, my programming's accomplished and I have a whole cybernetic life to live, so I get to pick now. But that's the other thing. I really think that all of the things they focused on in this movie were the least interesting and important things they should have been focusing on. I wanted to see a movie of Arnold's, T-800, making those human choices.
Yeah, that's actually, well, you know what? Even though I disagree with the fact that not focusing on it made a worse film, I really do want to see that film. I think you are absolutely right. That would have made for an interesting movie at the very least. A killing machine that learns actually to be human. Yeah, okay. It's like a pissed off Data. That's what it is. It's a pissed off Data. So there you go. Anyway, we should stop so we're not making this too long. I guess we're going to leave it up to everybody else. Did I convince? Probably not, but I just wanted to get this out there and just say, as always, thank you very, very much for watching.
Cheers, guys.
There we go. All righty.